Welcome to the fourth and last day of the German-American Conference 2021. I hope you had some great experiences during the last 3 days of the conference, and I'm delighted to have you all of us join us today. We will start off with a keynote on transformation, sustainability, and new chances in the automotive industry. My name is Cecile Meier-Scherling, and I am one of the organizers of this event and head logistics of this year's GAC. As the effects of climate change are becoming too large to ignore, many German politicians and parties are following agendas to create legislative initiatives to make Germany carbon neutral. One key element of this change lies in the transformation of the automotive sector, Germany's key domestic industry. It is my pleasure to welcome our speaker this morning, Hildegard Wortmann. Ms. Wortmann is the member of the Board of Management of AUDI for sales and marketing since 2019. Before, from 1998 to 2019, she was responsible for various roles at BMW, such as the Senior Vice President for Product Management, the Senior Vice President for the brand BMW, and Senior Vice President for the Asia Pacific region. Before Ms. Wortmann will start her keynote today, she has prepared a short video for us, which she will share now. Ms. Wortmann, the floor is yours.
We all look at the same world, but we all look at it in a different way. Some see a concept. We see potential. Some just see sheer speed. We see inspirational engineering. Some just see beautiful lines. We see character. Some see a new light. We see a new vision. Some see a factory. We see progress. Some see a new motor. We see a new era. Some see what's there. We see beyond. AUDI.
Thank you, Cecile, and a wonderful good morning to everyone here in the early morning hours. I must say I'm impressed at 9 o'clock in the morning. Have so many of you joining us for this, so thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you and to present to students of one of America's most esteemed universities. So I'm here to speak a little bit, as Cecile said, about the automotive industry, how it has changed in the recent years, and how it will transform in the future, at least what we think how it will transform in the future. But most importantly, I'm here to talk about the opportunities that lie ahead of all of us. More specifically, the opportunities transformation offers in a world that is changing faster than ever before. So again, good morning, and great to have you all here. And we're going to run this for like some 15 minutes, and then you have time to put any of your questions you would like to do. Happy to take them all, whatever direction you want to go. According to a German study, 85% of the world's population is affected by climate change. And many countries, companies, and individuals are making changes to protect the world we have taken for granted for far too long. We have the Paris Climate Agreement of 2015, a binding agreement which brings all nations into a common cause to undertake ambitious efforts to combat climate change and adapt to its effects. We're always learning more, including about the continuing effects of climate change, such as reports released by the World Climate Council. And we know how worried people are because of the challenges of the climate change. I mean, look at this world. I think, in a way, it's fair to say it is last chance. We really have to take action now. And especially you, the younger generation, who want to see the world and the industry leaders like us fulfill our promises. Those of you who are sitting amongst us here while we're doing this call, you consider yourselves as millennials or Zoomers, but you are now the young adults who expect leaders of today to not only talk, but to also act. When we at Audi, when we refer to you, we call you the Generation C, or we refer to you to the Gen C, because of your values, and they come from the 4 Cs, which I personally believe are absolutely the right way to go. Creation, curation, connection, and community. So those 4 Cs we use to describe this generation. And by 2025, more than 45% of our potential car buyers will be from your generation. So rightfully, you demand from us products that are innovative and meet your expectations and values regarding sustainability, social responsibility, and leadership with integrity. So let's have a look for a moment. What is the dominant driver of this change that we are seeing? And of course, it is technology. Because technology's impact on our everyday lives is increasing at a rapid speed. We live in a world of exponential technological change. And still, we will never change that slowly again as we did today. It will only become faster, the era of exponential change. And it's technology that can solve some of the key challenges that exist in our world today. According to forecasts, the number of connected devices, like mobile phones and everything that is connected, worldwide, will grow from today 30 billion to 75 billion by 2025, so just in a few years. And this shows the exponentially accelerating digital transformation taking place now. And besides that, there is growing demands for sustainability are also changing consumer habits, the way we shop, the way we live, the way we expect brands to act. Actually, we are confronted by a last call to action here. Sustainability is not an option anymore. It's not about marketing, it's about meaning. It's everyone's obligation. Everyone here today in the call, it's everyone's obligation here in the call for these future generations. It's down to us to really change something. And this also results in dramatically changing demands regarding mobility. So for us as a brand to stay relevant, we need to focus razor sharp on the changing individual needs now more than ever, and use technology not only to benefit us, but to benefit to society and give something back to the world as well. We say we are now in the biggest transformation the automotive industry has ever seen. A frightening challenge? To some, perhaps, but not for us. We think challenges must always be seen as opportunities. And in that sense, the massive disruption that we are seeing right now is a big opportunity. There have been new players in the market who entered into the mobility market that just don't have that legacy that we have as old OEMs with 100 years or so. And I'm talking, of course, about companies like Google and Apple and, of course, Tesla that are increasingly penetrating the automotive sector, challenging the established brands, but also giving some really good impulses by the disruption they call. And one thing is certain. Car makers like us that would ignore this transformation or do not transform fast enough, it's all about speed, will not be relevant anymore by the middle of this century. And I said that on a note to our dealer partners worldwide. I said there is a 50-50 chance that we would still be in business in 10 years from now. And you can imagine they were all looking at me like, God, she must be crazy. No, but seriously, if we don't transform fast enough, if we don't change fast enough, there is a likelihood of us no longer being in the business, no longer being relevant. And that's why we are driving change so much. And as you have just seen in the video, for us at Audi, future is an attitude. It's a question of attitude, because we are living progress. And we have the chance now to reinvent the car, automotive industry. And we will take that chance. We fully understand the urge of that transformation. But our aim is not to be driven by change, but to drive the changes ourselves. We aim to spearhead the movement and play a fundamental role in contributing to a better tomorrow, contributing to society, giving something back. And everyone at Audi is proud of what we call Vorsprung durch Technik. You might know that German slogan. It's actually our slogan since 50 years. It's in our DNA, progress by technology. And our ambition to be always at the advancing edge of technical progress. But what does progress mean nowadays? We are redefining Vorsprung, or progress. It's no longer about exploring the technological boundaries. We always say it's no longer about the 10th of a second speed at the Nürburgring. For us, Vorsprung today means to use technology, meaningful technology, to improve people's lives and to contribute together to a more livable, to a better future for the individual and for the society as a whole. We now have the chance to lead the transformation and to continue to be at the spearhead of change. This also means that we are transforming Audi from a pure car manufacturer into a software-driven high-tech company. Market research, as I mentioned in the beginning of my speech, has unmistakably shown that our customers expect us to have a clear attitude about how we are tackling climate change. And we will achieve this through our roadmap. And our roadmap sees Audi adopting essential new technologies. A roadmap that leads to truly decarbonized premium car manufacturing and to zero-emission vehicles. Well, the only way that takes us to decarbonization and to a better future is electric mobility. There is no better way of doing it. Sustainability is now a symbol for a new value, a new type of premium. I always say sustainability is the new luxury, is the new premium. 64% of our customers have accepted that they will need to pay a higher price for their car if it meets the demands of social, climatic, and ecological responsibility. And this means purpose and values are more important than ever before. And recent scientific surveys have revealed 75% of people born after 2000 are ready to change their consumer habits in favor of being climate and sustainably aware. By comparison, this figure decreased to 34% for the so-called baby boomer generation, those who were born 1950s, 1960s. So 34% in the past, now 75%. That's a massive change in consumer demand and in consumer habits. And as you know, now we have movements like Friday for Future, a global and I believe super important movement sparked off by your generation. And let me tell you, your voices are being heard by many like-minded people. Let's look at Stella McCartney, for example, with her amazing sustainable fashion concepts, or somebody like Sebastian Copeland, the photographer, polar explorer, and environmental advocate, who has shown us with his work how endangered large regions of this planet really are. It's people like these who Audi now works with. We see them as fascinating, like-minded partners when it comes to filling our brand with a purpose for a better and more sustainable future. Of course, we are also rethinking our communication, shaping transformation in the area of our marketing. The COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated digitalization, of course. We focus on new formats like digital product launches, hybrid events, and this mixture of digital and real events, we call that phygital, so physical and digital. In addition, digital and social media marketing is becoming ever so important. And of course, we are focusing on a quick and direct exchange with our customers and fans around the world. A fact, of course, that I don't need to tell you because you are not switching online, you are living online, and for all the good reasons. And it's a fact, nevertheless. Yeah. So, dialogue was therefore also, for example, very much the key issue for us at the IAA, the International Auto Show, that just took place recently here in Munich. It went right into the heart of the city and not in some halls outside of the city, to get in touch with people in the streets, to open up to discussion, to actively exchange and try to come to some mutual understanding. That has never happened like this before in the automotive industry. So, which decisions has Audi made and what does that mean for us? Why do we think that we are here on the right path? I would say we are walking the talk and we are consistently steering the whole company regarding this future transformation. By far, our biggest investments now flow into digitalization, electromobility, and software development. Those are the three key items. We are already a leading premium manufacturer of battery electric vehicles today. We are convinced battery electric vehicles, or BEV as we call them, are vital in fighting climate change, and electromobility will drive growth over the next 20 to 30 years. And for exactly that reason, we are investing around 15 billion euros into electrification just until 2025 to prove that we pursue a truly consistent and a truly meant-to-be electrification strategy. And here are the key points. By 2025, we are expanding our portfolio to more than 20 all-electric models. So in every different segment that the consumers are looking for cars, you will find an electric offer from the Audi brand. The production of the last new model with a combustion engine will already be in 2025. So in 2025, for the last time, we're going to launch a new car with a combustion engine. And in 12 years from now, and that might sound a long time for you guys, but in automotive, that is just one life cycle. So in 12 years from now, our global portfolio will be fully electric across the board. Our e-mobility initiative has come at just the right time, I think. Just think of the recent changes also in the US. I mean, with President Biden, I think one of the first decrees he signed, thankfully, after his inauguration, was to re-enter the Paris Climate Agreement, a super important decision. But think also of the European Union's plan for a stricter Green Deal. Again, I think a really good decision. And think of the regional partner initiatives that we also support. So, for example, Electrify America, which is the largest open public ultra-fast EV charging network in the US market. Let me turn to another partner that I'm super proud that we are working together with. That is called CARIAD. CARIAD is the unit in our company, the Volkswagen Group, where we bundle all of our software expertise. They are true pioneers who have already set numerous benchmarks with their output of software solutions for the future, notably in the fields of autonomous driving, parking, as well as with convincingly intelligent ecosystems for car concepts of the future. Autonomous driving, along with electrification, is one of the biggest game changers of the near future. And with CARIAD, we have the masterminds on board in preparing for exactly that change. So a really good unit, a great company to work with, where we bundle all of our software competence. But hey, it's not just cars that we are talking about. The scope is a whole lot wider now. Audi also operates in keeping with the environmental, social governance. You probably have heard the abbreviation ESG, and I think that is ever so important, and it's a matter of survival that we are fulfilling the ESG criteria. And that involves new ways of thinking. And new ways of acting in the whole company and in the companies that we work with. We expect these from our partners as well. We look at the sustainability of all our supply chains. We care for the safety and mental well-being of our employees. And we make them ready for the future, which continuously training on the job and a wide range of advanced training in our own academy means. It's only with their skills and openness to new ways of thinking we aim for the entire Volkswagen Group to be carbon neutral by 2050. So I think enough said about products and electric cars, etc. Let me come finally, before I close, to one other aspect, which I think is so important to mention. To master the transformation, you need the right mindset and you need the right people. And that means new forms of leadership. You need diverse teams to promote innovation, because you also need an open and participatory culture. Personally, I'm a big supporter of what we call the unbossed principle, which focuses very much on the dissolution of old hierarchies, the empowerment of employees, and on the exchanges at eye level. And I have created, personally, I've created my credo, and I started that with a hashtag, and you can find that on my LinkedIn account, hashtag LLX. And LLX stands for listen, and not just to answer, but to understand, listen, learn, and exchange. Might sound easy, but from listening, one can learn and understand a lot. That's true for executives as well as for everybody else. Do we do that often enough? That's why I like to get in touch with our global community on LinkedIn. I think it's a great source of inspiration, it's a great way of communicating, and it's so easy to get inspirations from different people around the world, to broaden one's mind. And that's why I'm happy to take part in this conference today as well. It's great, and I'm really looking forward to our Q&A session in a moment. So, coming to the end of my speech now, or my impulse that I wanted to share with you this early Sunday morning, I would just like to sum up a little bit more. We live in a changing world, and we are leading this change. Audi is 100% committed to a clear roadmap. 12 years from now, our global portfolio will be fully electric across the board. We transform cars into software-driven vehicles, vehicles that enlarge individual mobility and personal freedom. Audi is a strong brand with the aim to lead progress, to leapfrog the movement, and a progressive mindset, in order to lead the change so much needed in our society. Remember, last call. And being part of the Volkswagen Group, it is beneficial for the overall transformation process when it comes to financial strength and scale. Will it be easy? No. Will it be worth it? Yes, I'm totally convinced. In times like these, we need courageous leaders ready to drive change, to create impact, and to contribute to society. This is what we mean by living progress, and when we say future is an attitude. And for that, we need you, the next generation's leader. We need you to create the future. And I promise, we will take up responsibility for your future and for the future of this planet. So, I think enough words for a Sunday morning. I'm very happy to exchange now with you. Please feel free to put any questions in that you would like to ask. It could be on automotive, on leadership, whichever direction you want to take it. And with that, I switch over and back to Cecile, I think.
Thank you very much, Frau Wortmann. I must say I'm really impressed. My name is Luca Wachtendorf, and I have organized this event together with Cecile. After having heard this great and insightful speech from your end on the transformation in the automotive industry, I will be the moderator for today's session. And I would like to motivate, as you just pointed out, thank you very much for doing that, our audience to ask any question they may have. And I think you gave some great input, and we will have some great questions and discussion. Before we consider taking the questions asked by our audience, I would like to start off with a Q&A by talking about emotions, because I feel like this entire topic is very emotional. And so what we were asking ourselves, so cars and the associated mobility has always been a very major, even emotional topic. And for some people, cars are very sensitive and very personal. Many people in our younger generation, however, they appreciate the individual mobility, but I have the feeling they are rather indifferent how they experience this mobility, like whether it's a rental car, a car subscription, or just a carpool. And we were asking ourselves, how can car manufacturers such as Audi basically emotionalize the car experience again? And how can this be facilitated with regards to the climate change and more sustainable mobility?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question, Luca. Thank you very much. I think, I get told since many years, I mean, I'm working in the automotive industry now for over 20 years, and I hear already since a long time, oh, the young generation is no longer interested in automotive, and they don't care about it, and there's a lack of emotions. And to be very honest, just the opposite is the case, and that's what I really experience every day. And especially PC, so post-corona, I think in the corona times we have all seen how important a car, how important individual mobility is. It is a piece of safety, it's a piece of freedom, it's allowing you to move around places in a very safe environment, and I think over the last 1.5, 2 years we have all appreciated this ever so much. But likewise, the young generation is always very interested in design, and design is still the purchase reason #1 for any automotive car. And I think, again, design is something that is very emotional and something which you can play with and show what it can do. But I said earlier in my talk, I think the biggest game changer we are seeing is actually autonomous driving. And when you look into what cars could become looking like when they drive autonomously or partly autonomously, it will change completely. It's no longer about a means of transportation from A to B. It is the ride itself that becomes so important. And we had just presented our Grand Sphere concept, which is a concept car where we have shown what we think what the interior of a car could look like. Of course, all connected, of course, in different ways of living in the car. And the car really becomes like a living place, like your second home, basically. And these spending times in these cars that have been created now from the inside out and not like the past 100 years from the outside to the inside will be a highly emotional experience. And I think there will be a lot of chances for us to rethink the car, to not just do the predecessor, successor model logic, we do this generation, the next generation, the next generation, but to really reinvent parts of the car and really reinvent the way how we experience driving. And that will be surely very, very emotional.
Thank you very much. No, that was a great answer, and I completely agree. It's very important, and I have to say I'm kind of excited about cars right now, and by what you just said. No, it's great. And talking about the freedom you just
already on a Sunday morning.
yeah, of course. By the freedom you just mentioned, we have a question from Annette Messimer, and she wanted to talk, continuing about the emotions and the emotional topic, especially in Germany. Why do Germans still insist on the unlimited speed without any restrictions on the major parts of the German Autobahn network? We all know it's a very emotional topic. I think it fits quite well to this point. So why do you think even the Green Party just accepted or not changing the current regulation and legislation in the negotiations after the elections?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the personal remark is that I'm very happy that they have not decided for a tempo limit and that this is off the table, because this is part of our industry. This is part of our country. And we have here in Germany the largest premium manufacturers in the world for automotive. We have super, super intelligent engineers here. And I said during the course of these elections all the time in the interviews, look, I don't understand it that in a country where we have the best engineers in automotive, all we can think of in order to decarbonize, in order to reduce CO2 emissions, which we have to do, don't get me wrong, all that we can think of is just putting another "you are not allowed to" type of thing in, another restriction in. And we discussed this in a world where, due to Corona, I think we all felt already that there were so many restrictions in our life. So why just adding another one if, on the other hand, you can have really smart and intelligent solutions? And that's really the background to it. I mean, de facto, there are already far-reaching speed limits on German motorways, unfortunately, anyway. And experts doubt that such a measure will have a substantial CO2 effect. According to a study that the Federal Environment Agency did, CO2 emissions from passenger cars are reduced by less than 0.5% if we would go to 120 kilometers tempo limit. By digitizing and liquefying traffic, on the other hand, an equivalent savings of potentially 15% in fuels and thus pollution emissions could be achieved. So that's a much smarter and much better way of doing it. And that's why we at the Volkswagen Group, we really rely on intelligent, sensible solutions instead of just another ban in our life. I think it's a smarter way to do it, and it certainly is the more impactful way of doing it. And yeah, throughout the coalition negotiations, I think everybody found out that that is actually the better way to go, and therefore I think the Green Party could agree with that as well.
Thank you. Let's switch the angle a little bit. Razi Farouk from our audience asked, do you observe if a change in customer characteristics associated with their efforts towards a more sustainable car and car manufacturing process? Can you observe some like happenings such as this one? And is there an overall trend towards younger customers? And what are your observations? Because you're for quite a while in the automotive industry.
Yeah, true. I mean, first of all, let me say again, I think this coronavirus, as bad as it is, the one thing that it has caused a super acceleration of change. Yeah? We are living now in the era of exponential change. And I said that before, we will never change that slowly again as we are doing right now, and yet we all feel change is already very fast. So it will become even more exponential. And with that, of course, consumer expectations are changing as well dramatically. And sustainability is becoming... Yeah, it's becoming a symbol of a new kind of premium. And more than ever, people are concerned about the world in which they live. I think we have seen with Corona the vulnerability of our world. And that has done something in our heads. Yeah, I think everybody has really thought about it. And with that, I believe purchase decisions that we are taking right now, they become, if you like, a statement. Yeah? Sustainability is becoming a symbol of a new kind of luxury. And customer surveys on sustainability show us that 64% of our customers are willing to pay even a higher price for a product that is more sustainable. I think that says a lot, yeah, where everybody's looking for bargains and saving money. And I think strong purpose and values are important for business. And as I mentioned before, 75% of the millennials are willing to change their buying behavior for environmental reasons. Yeah, so as a brand and as a manufacturer in automotive, you cannot continue the way you used to do business because you would simply lose relevance. You would no longer be in the relevant set of potential consumers. And so with that, we have to change there. And with regards to your questions on the younger society, I think it's for me, it is very rewarding to see. I did a lot of conversations together with people from the Fridays for Future movement. And I must say, first of all, I have high respect for what they have put together. And I think it's opening up to a dialogue that is so badly needed. Yeah? Whenever I speak to this young generation, and I try to explain to them how hard we are trying to change and how much activities we are doing, how much money we invest into this, how we're trying to become a better place, there is a lot of understanding and there is a lot of acceptance of that as well. Yeah? So I think one prerequisite here is that we stay in dialogue and that we really talk about these things. And of course, on our side, we really need to carefully listen, like I said before, listen and then really understand and, yeah, act accordingly, walk the talk.
Thank you. No, that's great. We have a question from our audience that is closely connected to this point. So Miriam Schubel asked, you said that sustainability is the new luxury, or you could also call it premium, and many people are willing to pay a higher price for a more sustainable car, right? On the other hand, there are more younger people who are interested in cars as well. That's also what you pointed out. And is this sustainability, the luxury, is it connected in your opinion? Because I would imagine like most of the young people are not having the money to pay a price for a more sustainable but even pricier car. So will it be restricted to people that can only afford such a premium or more sustainable car?
Very good question, Miriam. Thank you for that. No, I think what we need to see here, there are obviously, even alone in our Volkswagen Group, there are different brands segmenting to different target groups. And Audi as a premium brand is, of course, segmenting into a more premium market and therefore with a higher price range. But the same holds true for other brands that we hold in our company, like Skoda, for example, or like Volkswagen. And we operate on different price bands and different levels. But all of our brands have in common the absolute wish to change and the absolute wish to go for sustainability. So the equivalent, for example, on the Audi brand, where we have a Q4 e-tron as a price entry point into our premium segment, would be something like the ID3 or ID4, for example, on the Volkswagen brand. So of course, we are playing in our level fields, how our brand is positioned, but that does not mean that there is no price-worthy offer in the lower segments either. Yeah? So it will be affordable across the whole range. And that, again, we're going to invest now into electric mobility, and the roadmap for our products are clear. So by 2025, we will have 20 all-electric and 30 electrified cars, or plug-in hybrids versions as well. So 20 BEVs, and that makes an offer in each and every price segment within the Audi premium positioning.
Thank you. There's another question related to the car in the future European cities, so that how cities will look like in the future, by Tobias Fertig. I will just read out the question. Do you think the car as the main vehicle for transportation is still a good solution? Looking at the climate change, of course, but looking at it from urbanization, the cost of space and traffic in the city, which are all rising. Cities such as Copenhagen, for example, are becoming more bike friendly, and one would even say they're car unfriendly. Is this the new future for European cities, and where do you see the car at this place?
I think we will see a mix of it. And what happens, I don't think there is an either or, but there will be an and. So yes, we will see individual mobility for all good reasons, and I mentioned a few before. But we will also see other mobility forms like sharing and hailing, etc., that will add to your choice of mobility. And that's important. Yeah? But I think the biggest advantages are that with the connectivity and with the digitalization, we have chances to use mobility in a different way, which becomes then more sustainable and more personalized. Yeah? And I think we see a lot of efforts in what we call smart cities. And perhaps you have seen in my CV, I lived for some time in Singapore. And Singapore, for example, is for me one of the smartest cities in terms of traffic management already since many, many years. Yeah? So they really look into how the traffic flows are, how they can best optimize to ensure a smooth traffic flow and ensure a limited number of cars within the inner city rings, etc. So very, very smart concept of how to run the city. But I think to ban cars completely out of cities and say, no, we don't want any cars anymore in the cities is not the right answer either, because with all the Amazons around the world, you're going to have the inner cities dying if people have no access to getting into it. So for me, as I said in the beginning, it's not an either or, it is an and the end needs digital and smart technology solutions in order to enable both. But again, I think individual mobility will always play a role and will always have a good reason. And it's not just in the mega cities that we are looking at. Yeah, we are also looking into areas where public transport is not that fluent, where you cannot that easily reach areas, etc. So I think there is not one rule for all that you can play, but we need smarter solutions and smarter technologies to live with it and make it livable. Yeah.
That's a great point. And also Mariam has, again, a great question related to this change. So you said that Audi wanted to at least partially convert to be a more software and technology oriented company. So what organizational and cultural changes are associated with that to make this change possible?
Yeah, very good question, Mariam. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, as I said before, I think it takes a certain form of leadership. So I think we all have to learn, and especially again after the Corona times, we have all become much more digital versatile. We have all learned how to work with home office situations, etc. And there is no way back. Yeah, we will not go back 100% into offices as it might have been before. So mobile working and agile working will be absolutely essential for what we need to deliver. And that's important for us. I mean, I mentioned before Carriot, which is our software unit within the Volkswagen Group, where we bundle all the software expertise and where we develop our own iOS system, if you like, for all of the Volkswagen Group cars, a platform where we will see some 40 million cars on there. And there, of course, we need a lot of new competencies, like from the software skills environment. But equally, we have within our company skills that we need to requalify and change their qualification and help them to train to new competencies. And again, I mean, just for this year, we have invested €500 million in Germany to requalify our colleagues who are perhaps in the past in areas which we don't need that much more anymore, and need to train them for the future fields and for the future skills. Yeah. So it's a mix of training, requalification, but of course also some competencies that we need to learn anew and get new people on board. And once we have the right people on board, it is about the way we are working in a more agile and a more non-structured way, but that does not mean chaotic way.
Thank you. That's very inspiring. So with a quick look to the time, we have 45 minutes left and we have 2 more questions. So let's try to get through them. So Razi Farouk asked, and that's closely connected to the changes in like smarter cities. I imagine there's a lot of collaboration needed. And what do you think that the automotive industry need from the German or other governments, such as in the United States, in terms of support, regulatory environments, and incentives to succeed in the global competition and transformation?
Yeah, excellent point. I mean, yes, I think this is the age of collaboration. And I don't believe that any of the OEM can survive without going into collaborations. Yeah, and it's good because collaboration, co-creation, this is the way how we can really make a big progress and really jump forward. Yeah. With regards to the legal frameworks, I think you mentioned a very, very, very important point, because the investments we are doing are, in our industry, always billion investments. So, like I said before, we're going to invest 15 billion euros into electromobility. But this change to an electric mobility future is a huge transformation. It's a huge change. And that can only be done if society, politics, and the OEMs all work together and really collaborate in the right sense. And for us, it means we need to have clear guidelines. We need to have a clear framework in which we can then put our investments in order to be also ecologically and financially on the safe side in the things that we are doing. So consistency, a clear guiding way to go are absolutely important. And I think a good example, if I may quote so, is Norway. Yeah, Norway has really changed completely. I mean, the amount of cars, the electric cars that are newly registered is 90%, 90. So you hardly find any new registrations anymore on combustion engines. And it is a result of the fact that the government, the politics, the society, everybody has really hooked up together. And they changed from how they incentivize electric mobility, how they have changed the parking situations in the cities, how they have built up the charging situation. I mean, of course, for electric mobility, one of the key prerequisites will be a really good charging infrastructure. And Norway has invested heavily into that and has enabled a lot of investment there. So, you know, this change we are talking about, and that is so much needed, and there is no alternative to going electric on mobility. This change really needs a lot of collaboration and investment into infrastructure here. Otherwise, it will not happen, because customers will not accept if they cannot as easily charge up their car as they used to put petrol into their cars. Yeah. So yes, the framework needs to be right, the framework needs to be clear, it needs to be incentivized on certain areas, but above all, it needs some consistency so that we can do the investments in the right way and are on the right side here of going into the business. But yes, it's a huge joint effort.
That's a great view, and I think that's a great view to close this Q&A session and basically looking at the broader picture. I would really like to thank you, Ms. Wortmann, for being our guest today and having delivered such a great speech and answered so interesting questions. We are very thankful. And so I have to say, your insight on the automotive industry has truly inspired me, and I'm sure I'm speaking for all of us who are in our team and in the audience today. And we are very thankful for you to have joined our event. Thank you very much.
Right, Luca and Cecile, thank you very much for organizing this, and thank you for having me here. And yeah, time flies, so in a way it's sad that we have finished already the Q&A, but if you are interested, stay in touch. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm really looking forward to some more questions if you want to, and join the conversation there. It would be great to see you following. Thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day here with, I'm sure, some more really interesting insights also from some German colleagues here. So take good care and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.